From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Well, we've definitely been dealing with those gusts between 30 and over 40 miles per hour in some cases here. And you know what? We're expecting to see those winds slowly die down. You know, the winds won't be as strong on Friday. It may not feel that way in the morning, but I do expect that we're going to start to see things kind of weaken and subside as we go through the day on Friday, and really much calmer by the weekend. So we can look forward to a much better weekend in store for us. Now, speaking of the weekend, highs will get close to 80 degrees, especially by Sunday, and even going into early next week. But we are expecting to see a change, a slow but gradual change in our weather pattern as we go through next week. Now, I want to start with Futurecast because, all right, so we're not going to see much in the way of cloud cover. And you're going to clearly see that when we look at Friday. There's Friday through around noon, not a cloud to be seen in the sky. But look at this as we zoom out here. Because as we go into Saturday, you see what Futurecast is picking up on. Just a little bit of activity trying to develop in parts of the eastern mountains, say Plumas and even Lassen counties. Most of it, as you can see, is down to the south and east. Now, this is all associated with an area of low pressure that's over Southern California and kind of just to the east of that. And the rotation around that low, this wraparound moisture as we call it, it wraps around the counterclockwise flow around that low, and some of it just may make its way into parts of Northern California. And in particular, as I mentioned, around Lassen, maybe Plumas County. Is this going to be anything significant? No. Do you need to cancel any outdoor plans over it? Absolutely not. But it is something that is worth watching. Another thing that's worth watching is this. See the marine layer, that fog developing along the coast? This is all creeping northward. By Sunday into Monday of next week, could be looking at more for the north coast, seeing some of that fog. All right, take a look at the winds, and you can see they're still going to be gusty here tonight, and even especially as we go into tomorrow morning. Typical spots as we're seeing east of the valley, mainly north and west side of the valley, although Chico getting in some of those winds as well on the east side of the valley. Then we go into noon, still a little gusty out there, but we're beginning to see signs that the winds are beginning to die down. And as you can see, by about 6 p.m., most of us are seeing calmer winds, still some leftover gusty winds here off to the east. Then by Saturday, yeah, it looks like it's going to be much better as we're taking to Saturday, and not to mention your Sunday as well. Most likely, most of us will be below 10 miles per hour. So it's going to be nice to finally get rid of those winds. So the setup I've been talking about here is high pressure to our west, low pressure to our east, and the difference between the two, when you see these isobars, when they're tightly packed together, it helps to represent the gusty winds. And that's essentially what we've got here with those winds coming out of the north. Now, as that ridge builds northward, or it's going to continue to do that. But what's going to happen is the high pressure and low pressure are going to start moving farther and farther away from each other. As they do that, that means our winds will also begin to weaken. But still gusty, especially for the first half of the day. But as you saw, by the second half of the day on Friday, the winds start to die down. Then going through the weekend, that high pressure will still be in place, but the winds no longer in place, and temperatures warming up. I expect Sunday will be the warmest day of the two, and quite possibly staying fairly warm going into early next week as well. But then going into next week, we're going to start to see some changes. The ridge is beginning to break down, which will now open the door for storm systems off to our west to move in. So number one, temperatures will start to drop. Number two, we'll start to see chances for showers, maybe as early as Thursday, but most likely toward the end of next week. We're looking at next Friday, not this coming Friday, but a week from Friday. Maybe some showers moving in. Going into that next weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend after, maybe a chance for some showers, maybe some high elevation snow above 5,000 feet. We're looking at a bit of what we call a zonal flow type pattern, which again will allow these storms to move in. Now, one thing I have to really kind of stress here is we're looking out over a week away. This is most likely going to change. The timing, the intensity, whether or not we even see the rain is still kind of up in the air at this point. But we're at least beginning to see changes in the overall pattern, which means this warming trend that we're seeing, it's not going to last forever. Things are going to start to kind of change back to the potential for wetter weather toward the end of next week. There you can see your wave heights actually starting to drop as we take you into your Friday and not to mention even going into your Saturday. So conditions are getting better for those of you that need to be on small boats. So as you can see here, the winds for tomorrow, northeast, 5 to 10 knots, no advisories. Look at the sunrise sunset, by the way. We're not quite at the vernal equinox or the first day of spring, which will be next Tuesday. But on Friday, we have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. Look at that. The rise will be 7:25 in the morning. The sunset will be 7:25 in the evening. Kind of interesting to take note there. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for tonight. And really, these temperatures will depend on what the winds do. These temperatures may be overdoing as far as just how cold we'll get, because if the winds are blowing, these temperatures won't get quite as cold as what you're seeing here. But bottom line is colder, obviously, to the north, northeast. And as we take you into the valley, temperatures mid to upper 40s. And not to mention the low to mid 40s here along the coast. All right, let's take a look at your neighborhood by neighborhood forecast. 65 degrees in Lewiston, 61 for Mad River. And there you can see Ruth, about 62 degrees. We take you to your North Coast neighborhood forecast. It's starting to warm up. We're starting to see the 70s make their way into the forecast across the board. 73 out in Garberville, 73 in Gas Key, as well as Hoopa, 74 in Willow Creek. 71 for Smith River, Crescent City, 64. In Trinidad, a high of 67. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Not quite the 70s, but we're getting well into the 60s for many locations here. We take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. There you can see those temperatures are going to be in the mid 50s, a little cooler out towards Cedarville at about 51 and 53 degrees in Eagleville. Let's take it to the south into your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, mainly in the mid to upper 50s there as well. And we do have, look at that, chance for showers. Snow levels around 5,000 feet by next Thursday, probably closer to even next Friday. All right, there's a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast. We've got temperatures in the 70s, 74 degrees for Chico, 73 for Los Molinos. There you can see Corning, about 72 degrees. And up north, 74 for Redding, as well as Red Bluff and Palo Cedro, 70 at Lakehead and out towards Whiskeytown, a high of 67 degrees. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. Those temperatures will be increasing mid-70s, low to mid-70s for Friday, Saturday. St. Patrick's Day, a high of 78 degrees. And then first day of spring, next Tuesday, a high of 75, but temperatures slowly dropping after that, mid to upper 60s by next Thursday, and maybe even a chance for showers by then.